been to undermine the very people who gave this third-rate actress credibility and status, and that, I think, is unforgivable.
Elon's not interested, and Gordon Getty's been blocked by his family, so poor darling, and Jeff's taken by Lauren. So, I mean, the poor girl, what are her options?
She's what I would call a ruthless social climber, who just when people are no longer, no longer appropriate parts of her circle, they have to be expunged quickly so she can move on up the ladder.
Listen to the source, revealing she wants 4 floors of the Hyatt Hotel, completely shut down just for her. Extra security outside. Staff aren't allowed to look at her. She's in total control.
Meghan is driving Harry to his absolute destruction. And this is something that his family has feared for a very long time.
One question is now stalking Montecito like a shadow Meghan Markle cannot post, polish, or caption away. Has Prince Harry already been reduced from husband to holding position while she waits for the richer man critics say she always wanted?
I know for a fact that there have been meetings with billionaires in Los Angeles.
These really successful men out here who Meghan Markle would love to glom onto and she would ditch Harry for in a second.
Because what detonated on live television was not a loose joke, not a throwaway insult, not another lazy royal grumble. It was the kind of accusation that changes the temperature in the room. And after that clip,
Meghan has very good friends for as long as she needs them, and often leaves them behind when she thinks she's got what she wanted from them.
These really successful men out here who Meghan Markle would love to glom onto and she would ditch Harry for in a second.
nothing about this marriage sounded soft anymore. Suddenly, every smile, every deal, every missing invitation, every billionaire connection looked less like coincidence and more like preparation. Then came the line that made the whole story feel dangerous. A royal show host said out loud that he knew of meetings with billionaires in Los Angeles. Not parties, not premieres, not charity galas where cameras flash and everyone pretends to be friends. Meetings, that is the word that changes everything. Because meetings have purpose, meetings have strategy, meetings have outcomes. And when the Duchess of Sussex is being discussed in the same breath as billionaires, the obvious question becomes impossible to kill. Who is she meeting? What is being negotiated? And where does Harry fit once those doors open? And sitting right beside that host was the woman who wrote Harry's biography. A woman who spent 2 years with him. A woman who still likes him. A woman who had every reason to soften the blow if the claim was outrageous. But she did not push back. That silence was not empty. It was loaded. Her explanation was even more brutal than the accusation itself. Meghan reportedly stays because the right replacement has not yet turned up. Not because the love is unbreakable. Not because the marriage is safe. Because the replacement has not arrived. That one sentence dragged the entire Sussex fairy tale into a colder room. And then Diana's former butler stepped into the story like a ghost from the old palace corridors. This was not some random commentator chasing clicks. He served Diana for 10 years, a decade inside the machinery, a decade watching royal life with doors closed and masks lowered. And his claim landed like a warning from history. Millions would never be enough. A billionaire was the next step. He even floated politics, California, office, real leverage. In his framing, being royal was not grand enough for Meghan, and she was not going to make enough money from it as quickly as she intended. Then a royal correspondent leaned in on the same program and sharpened the knife. Meghan, he said, is always thinking about what comes next, and the friendships she is reportedly building with very wealthy men could come in handy. Come in handy. That phrase was chilling because it did not describe romance. It described usefulness. In that version of the story, Harry is not a prince being loved, not a wounded man being protected, not a husband being chosen again and again. He is inventory. He is a tool. He is something to keep until he is no longer much use. So why is this exploding in 2026? Because critics are now looking at what Meghan is actually married to, and the contrast is brutal. Asked on a podcast what he does for a living, Harry reportedly could not answer beyond Duke, Prince, followed by silence. That silence became a receipt. Then came the reported 50,000 property conference appearance, a long fall from the man once reportedly worth $1 million an appearance. The power shift is obvious. The title still has shine, but the earning engine looks weaker. The prince who once opened every door now appears to be standing outside some of them. One camp of commentators says the door in Britain is bolted. Not the king, not the Wales household, not now. Ingrid Seward, after 40 years editing a magazine about these people, compressed Harry's entire function into one devastating word: entree. He was the way in. That was his value. That was his currency. And if the way in has already been used, what happens to the man who carried the key? That is the question hovering over every palace whisper, because once entree is spent, status becomes a costume. Rewind, because even the beginning is contested. Critics allege Meghan was flying into London from 2013 onward, looking specifically for an Englishman, and one panel placed footballer Ashley Cole on the list first. Then came September 2015, 1 in the morning, when an uninvited message reportedly landed in Piers Morgan's inbox. He kept the screenshot. That detail matters because screenshots are not vibes. Screenshots wait. Screenshots survive. Screenshots return years later like evidence nobody expected to face. Before any first date existed, Tom Bower reported that Meghan told her own agent she had Googled Harry and gone deeply into his life. Bower says the agent is who he heard it from. And if that is accurate, then critics argue this was not a crush forming naturally in the dark. This was due diligence. This was research. This was a woman studying a prince before the story became a romance. And suddenly the Netflix version, the BBC version, the blind date version, the Instagram version all begin to feel less like memories and more like competing scripts. That leads to the disappointment critics claim followed. Meghan, they argue, expected enormous money and instead met a man at Frogmore Cottage with an inheritance, a secondhand sofa, and no private financial empire humming beneath him. Inside palace gates, Harry was priceless. Outside them, especially in America, that same critic's argument says he became far less useful. The symbol still glittered, but the cash machine was not what she imagined. And if the marriage was built on expectation, then disappointment was always hiding inside the walls. Lady Colin Campbell, orbiting this family for 4 decades, asked the one question the panel could not survive. Would Meghan have been interested in Harry if Harry had not been Prince Harry? Nobody picked it up. Nobody had to. The silence answered it. Because that question removes the balcony, the guards, the title, the global curiosity, the royal access, the inherited drama, and leaves only the man. And the critic's suspicion is merciless. Without Prince Harry, there may never have been Harry. Then came Lady C's coldest assessment of how Meghan allegedly does business, nothing given away free. Something demanded back, exactly what she wants extracted. From the acting years, a director reportedly said her demands beat genuine A-listers, including a private jet from a tiny production. She thought she was Bianca, the story goes. That is not just diva gossip. It is character evidence in the court of public suspicion, because the same pattern critics now claim to see in Hollywood, royalty. Friendships and marriage may have been visible before the palace ever called. And then, May 2018 arrived at Windsor, with 600 people in the chapel and the planet watching. But critics say the real story was in the pews. Tom Bower counted Harry's own friends missing, while Meghan's Hollywood contacts arrived complete: Oprah, the Clooneys, and a row of her agents. Her agents at a royal wedding chapel. That detail changes the wedding from fairy tale to launch event. Tina Brown, who edited Vanity Fair and never needed tabloid noise to matter, saw something even sharper. Those guests, she wrote, were not the friends Meghan had. They were the friends she wanted. And if that is true, the wedding was not just a marriage. It was a map. Andrew Morton, who has written about this family since Diana, needed only 5 words, a networker to her fingertips. So count the rungs. In 2004, a Los Angeles producer with an address book. In 2012, Marcus Anderson, gatekeeper at Soho House. Through him, Jessica Mulroney. By 2014, Dublin Then Came the Trail critics say proves the pattern. Mulroney reportedly cut without a word. Nanaki Pretty saying someone close since age 2 went cold on command, and then Lizzie Cundy, Gina Nelthorpe-Cowan, Millie McIntosh, Count Nick Eade, and Piers Morgan among the exits. But the unresolved twist is darker. If people vanish when usefulness ends, then who is next when the biggest name of all stops opening doors? Then comes the part even the critics admit is more complicated. Nobody has proved one single, unified pattern behind every friendship that ended. Ninaki Pretty sided with Meghan's former husband during a divorce, something ordinary people do every day. Millie McIntosh has floated another explanation for their distance. Even the Sussexes' own story refuses to stay perfectly aligned. In 2017, they told the BBC they were introduced by a mutual friend on a blind date. Later, Netflix presented Instagram as the beginning. Those accounts have never fully reconciled, leaving another mystery hanging in the air. Yet while some relationships disappeared, others never did. Doria Ragland remained. Serena Williams remained. Misha Nonu remained. Marcus Anderson, who opened Soho House in 2012, reportedly remained 14 years later. Critics argue those are not random survivors, but the connections that continued to matter. That remains interpretation, not established fact, but it keeps the speculation alive. Then, according to the commentary in the source material, something unexpected happened. After what critics describe as 2 decades of climbing one influential connection after another, the climb suddenly appeared to stop. There was no dramatic announcement, no public rejection. The invitations simply seemed to disappear. Reports claim the Sussexes were absent from what was described as Hollywood's biggest wedding of the year, packed with studio executives and political influence. Then came the Met Gala, where Meghan was reportedly not hidden away or seated quietly. She simply was not there. Anna Wintour controls one of the most exclusive rooms in entertainment, and commentators argued that the absence spoke louder than attendance ever could. The discussion finally returned to the question hanging over everything. Has Harry simply stopped being enough for the future Meghan is believed to want? Lady C argued Meghan already knew Harry was never as wealthy as she hoped, while also claiming Harry had presented himself as more influential than he truly was. In her view, neither was entirely innocent. One allegedly sold ambition, the other allegedly sold power. She even claimed the couple once imagined William and Catherine ruling Britain and the Commonwealth while they became the world's global royal power couple. According to Lady C, that vision collapsed long before the public realized it. She ultimately placed most of the blame on Meghan, but insisted Harry enabled everything, calling him not merely weak, but an active participant. The source ends by stressing that no separation has been established and no divorce filing exists. What remains are competing predictions from royal commentators, one warning Harry could eventually be replaced by someone wealthier, the other believing the royal family would take him back if that day ever came. Lady C's final advice was simple: leave while leaving is still possible. Whether Harry ever will, or whether events have already moved beyond the point of return, remains the unanswered question that continues to fuel every new royal headline.